Welcome back to the deep dive. I have a confession to make right off the bat. Getting ready for this episode, it was a nightmare.
A nightmare. The topic is self-motivation.
Exactly. The irony was, well, it was not lost on me. I mean, I spent about 2 hours cleaning my desk. I reorganized my bookshelf by color.
Oh no, the color-coded bookshelf. That's a bad sign.
It's the ultimate sign. I think I'd even considered descaling the coffee machine before I finally sat down to look at the research. And I think every single person listening knows exactly what that feels like.
Oh, absolutely. It's the universal human condition, isn't it?
It is. It's that slippery, elusive beast we call motivation. Whether you're a student staring at a blank page, a CEO looking at a quarterly review, or, I don't know, just someone trying to get off the couch to go for a run, the resistance is physical. It's actually heavy.
It is heavy, and honestly, if you didn't feel that resistance, I'd be worried about you.
Really? You'd be worried.
Yeah. We tend to pathologize procrastination like it's some kind of, a deep character defect. But when you look at the biology, which we're going to do today, that resistance is actually a protective mechanism. Your brain is trying to save energy.
So my laziness is evolutionary. I love that. I am absolutely putting that on a t-shirt.
Well, don't get too excited. It's evolutionary, but
Yeah.
let's call it maladaptive in the modern world. Our caveman brain isn't built for quarterly reports.
Fair enough. So here is the mission for today. We know we have a lot of people tuning in who are probably procrastinating on something right now. You're probably using this deep dive to avoid doing the thing.
We see you. We are you.
We are you. And we want to move away from this idea that motivation is a lightning strike. You know, that magical moment where the clouds part and you suddenly want to do your taxes.
Because that moment, spoiler alert, it never comes.
Never. So instead, we want to deconstruct motivation into a system, something like an engineered process. And to do that, we have fed a massive stack of literature, best practice guides, psychological frameworks, neurobiology papers into our synthesis engines.
Right.
We've got insights from Claude, Gemini, ChatGPT, DeepSeek, Kimi, Copilot, Grok, Perplexity. We've essentially held a summit of the world's most advanced AIs to ask them a very simple question. How do we get humans to do things they don't want to do?
And what's fascinating about this particular stack is the consensus. I mean, usually when we do these deep dives, you get conflicting advice. One source says hustle, the other says flow.
Oh boy.
Here, the pattern is it's undeniable. And the headline is, you are doing it wrong.
The classic try harder is not on the list, is it?
Not only is it not on the list, but trying harder is actually identified as a primary cause of failure. The consensus is that relying on grit, on willpower alone, is a strategy for burnout, not consistency.
So what's the alternative?
Instead, all the sources point to a three-pronged attack: biology, environment design, and psychology.
Okay, so let's jump into the core hook here. This is a metaphor that came out of the Gemini analysis, and I have to admit, I initially hated it.
You hated it. I loved it.
I did. It felt a little too poetic, a little, cheesy. But the more I sat with it, the more it made perfect sense. Gemini suggests that we stop treating motivation like lightning and start treating it like a campfire.
I think it's the perfect analogy. It explains the timing problem perfectly.
Okay, so break it down for me. Why a campfire?
Well, think about how most people approach their work or a project or the gym. They sit at their desk, shivering, arms crossed, and they basically say, I will start building this fire once I feel warm.
Right. I'll go for a run once I feel energetic. I'll start writing my book once I feel inspired.
Exactly. They are demanding the heat before they've built the fire, but the laws of thermodynamics and, the laws of neurobiology, they just don't work that way. The heat is the result of the labor, not the prerequisite for it.
You have to do the work while you're still cold.
You have to go out into the cold, gather the wood, stack the kindling, stripe the match, and blow on that tiny little spark. You do all of that work while you are freezing and miserable.
And that is the part that sucks. Let's just be honest about that.
It is. It's the hardest part. But if you do it, the heat comes, the fire roars, and then it starts to sustain itself. Motivation is the heat that comes after the friction of starting.
So the thesis statement for this entire deep dive is pretty aggressive then. It's that action creates emotion. We have it completely backwards. We think emotion is supposed to create action.
We think we are these emotional creatures who sometimes think. But in this context, we need to act like acting creatures who eventually feel. If you wait to feel good to start, you will freeze to death.
Okay, so that sets the stage. We are freezing, we have no wood, and we need to build a fire. Let's look at the blueprint for that. And this brings us to our first section, the mindset shift.
Yeah, you have to debug the code running in your head before you can ever hope to change your calendar.
And the first bug, the one we've been circling, is this trap of feeling like it. We touched on it with the campfire, but I want to really push on this. Both Gemini and ChatGPT highlighted this loop. Action leads to momentum, which then leads to motivation.
But?
Come on.
What's the but? What's the pushback?
The but is that it feels like a lie sometimes. If I force myself to do something I genuinely hate, like, say, reconciling my expense, I don't suddenly start loving it after 10 minutes. I just feel like I'm doing something I hate, but now I'm actually doing it. Does this really work for things that are genuinely miserable?
It depends on how you define work. Will you suddenly fall in love with filling out tax forms? Probably not. No. But will the resistance drop? Yes. And this goes back to physics, really. There is a concept called activation energy.
Oh man, high school chemistry flashbacks.
Bear with me. In chemistry, to get a reaction to start, you need a big spike of energy just to break the existing bonds. But once the reaction actually starts, it often releases its own energy. It becomes, exothermic. It powers itself.
Yeah, I think I follow.
Human behavior is governed by the same principle. The energy required to go from 0 to 1, from sitting on the couch to putting on a single sneaker, is massive. It is the hardest part of the entire workout, by far. The energy required to go from 1 to 10 running the actual miles is actually much, much lower because of momentum.
So that feeling of, I can't do this, that physical heaviness,
Yeah.
that's just the activation tax.
Precisely. Think of it like static friction versus kinetic friction. Static friction, the force needed to get a stationary object to move, is always higher than kinetic friction, which is the force needed to keep a moving object moving.
Right.
So the sources are telling us to expect that initial spike of misery. It doesn't mean you're not a motivated person. It doesn't mean something is wrong with you. It just means you are fighting static friction.
I like that distinction a lot because usually when I feel that resistance, I interpret it as a signal. I think, oh, my body's telling me I shouldn't do this right now. I should listen to my body.
And that, right there, is where listening to your body is just terrible advice. Your body wants to conserve calories. Your body is designed to survive a famine, not to write a screenplay.
Oh, so true.
If you listen to your body's base instincts, you will eat a bag of chips and take a nap. Every time.
Point taken. Now, this brings me to a pro tip from Gemini that felt a bit like a drill sergeant yelling at me. It said, stop calling it motivation. Start calling it discipline.
I saw that, yeah.
And I have to play devil's advocate here. Discipline is such a loaded word. It sounds like punishment. It sounds like misery. It sounds like, I don't know, a 5 a.m. cold shower followed by a bowl of unseasoned oatmeal. Isn't relying on discipline just a recipe for a miserable life?
I think that's a really common reaction, but it's a fundamental misunderstanding of the term. Motivation is a feeling. And feelings are like the weather. They are volatile, they're unpredictable. You can't plan your life around them.
Okay.
Discipline isn't punishment. Discipline is a system. It's a choice.
What's the practical difference, though?
ChatGPT framed it really, really well. It said, anchor your actions to meaning, not to mood. If your productivity is tied to your mood, you are a slave to your biochemistry. You're a slave to whether you slept well, or if it's raining, or if someone was rude to you in traffic. Discipline is simply the ability to disconnect your action from your current emotional state. It's not about feeling good. It's about doing what you said you would do.
So it's actually freedom. The freedom from being jerked around by my own feelings.
It is the most extreme form of freedom. It means you can execute on your most important goals regardless of how you feel in the moment. You are no longer held hostage by your own temporary emotions.
Okay, I can see that. It's the freedom from the tyranny of, I don't feel like it.
Exactly. And to make the shift easier so it doesn't feel like a constant grinding battle against yourself, there is a really powerful psychological reframe called identity shifting. This appeared in almost every single source we looked at.
This is the fake it till you make it idea, right?
Yeah.
Just pretend you're a productive person.
No, and I want to be really clear on that distinction because it's important. Fake it till you make it implies deception. It implies you're pretending to be something you're not. Identity shifting is about aligning your actions with a new chosen truth about yourself.
Okay, give me the classic example.
The classic one, cited everywhere, is smoking. You have two people who are trying to quit. They're at a party. Someone offers them a cigarette. Person A says, no thanks, I'm trying to quit.
Sounds reasonable enough. That's what most people would say.
It sounds reasonable, but look at the underlying logic. The subtext is, I am a smoker, and I am trying to do this very hard thing called quitting. They are identifying with the habit they want to pick. Every single time they say no, it's a sacrifice. It takes a huge amount of willpower.
Okay. So what does person B say?
Person B says, no thanks, I'm not a smoker.
It feels like a semantic trick, a little word game.
It feels like one, but it's actually a profound neuro-linguistic shift. Person B has decided their identity is now non-smoker. And what do non-smokers do? They don't smoke. So refusing the cigarette isn't a struggle against their nature, it's just them acting in character.
Ah, I see.
Humans have this deep biological need for internal consistency. We hate cognitive dissonance. If you decide, I am a healthy person, eating a whole pizza feels wrong. Not because it's a forbidden food, but because it's just not what you do.
But isn't that just delusional? I mean, if I'm sitting on the couch covered in potato chip crumbs and I say, I am a runner, I'm lying. I'm a guy on a couch.
You're a guy on a couch at that moment. But this is where one of the sources, I think it was DeepSeek, pointed out that you can't just lie to yourself. The identity has to be backed up by evidence. You have to cast votes for that new identity.
Cast votes. What does that mean?
You say, I am a runner, and then you go for a 5-minute jog. That jog is a vote. It's a piece of evidence. Now you're not lying anymore. Now you're a runner who just took a day off. The next day you do it again, another vote.
So the action reinforces the identity, and then the identity makes the next action easier.
It's a beautiful feedback loop. But it has to start with the identity claim. You have to decide who you want to be first.
This connects to something else DeepSeek brought up that I thought was fascinating, the idea of autonomy. They suggest that a lot of our laziness is actually a form of rebellion.
Psychological reactance.
Mm-hmm.
It's a fascinating and, frankly, maddening concept.
Okay, explain it like I'm 5, because it sounds complicated.
It's simple. Imagine a parent tells a toddler, you have to clean your room. What does the toddler do?
Throws a toy at the wall and screams, no.
Right. Even if the toddler was just about to clean the room, the second they are ordered to do it, they refuse. We value our freedom, our autonomy, more than almost anything else.
But we still do this as adults. We're just big toddlers.
We do it to ourselves all day long. When you look at your to-do list and say, I have to write this report, or I must go to the gym, you are simultaneously playing the role of the nagging parent and the rebellious child. Your brain hears, I have to, and it immediately triggers a resistance response. A little voice in your head says, oh yeah, you can't tell me what to do.
Even though I am the one telling you what to do, that's absurd.
It is absurd, but it's how we're wired. We rebel against our own orders.
So what's the fix? How do you get around your own inner teenager?
The fix is a very simple linguistic reframe to restore that feeling of autonomy. You just switch I have to I choose to, or even better, I get to.
I choose to do the dishes. I'm sorry, but my brain is going to call my bluff on that one. I do not choose the dishes. I choose not living in a pigsty.
And that's the key. You aren't choosing the activity, you are choosing the outcome. I choose to have a clean kitchen because I am a person who respects their living space. I get to go to the gym to build a body that can carry me through a long and healthy life.
So you connect the task to the value.
You connect the task to the value, and that restores your agency. You aren't being forced. You are exercising your power to create a life you want.
It sounds subtle, but I guess when you're fighting for every ounce of dopamine you can get, those subtleties really start to matter.
Well, they matter immensely. It's the difference between rowing against the current and with it.
Okay, so we've shifted the mindset. We aren't waiting for lightning. We're building the fire. We aren't forced to do this. We choose to do it because it's who we are. But now we're staring at the actual work. And it's huge. It's scary. This brings us to section 2, the tactical start.
How to overcome that initial inertia. How to pay the activation tax.
And the biggest weapon in the arsenal, and this was unanimous across Gemini, ChatGPT, Claude, all of them, is the 2-minute rule.
It's a classic for a reason. It just works.
But again, I have to be the skeptic. I know this trick.
Yeah.
The rule is, if you don't want to do something, just tell yourself you'll do it for 2 minutes. But I know that's a bait and switch. I know the real goal is to work for an hour. Does my brain really fall for such an obvious trick?
It's not about fooling your logical brain. You're right, your prefrontal cortex sees right through it. It's about calming the amygdala.
The fear center of the brain, the alarm system.
Exactly. When you look at a task on your to-do list, like write a book, your amygdala lights up like a Christmas tree. It perceives a threat. That is too big. That will take too much energy. We might fail. Danger. Danger. It triggers an immediate avoidance response.
It's like a saber-toothed tiger made of paper.
It's exactly that. But if you change the task from write a book to write one sentence or even just open the document, The amygdala stays quiet. It looks at that tiny task and says, oh, I can handle that. That's easy. No threat detected.
So you're basically sneaking past the guard dog of your own brain.
You are. And once you are inside, once you've started and you're typing that first sentence, the amygdala doesn't flare up again because the unknown has become the known. Claude's analysis called this lowering the barrier to entry to an almost ridiculous degree.
And the research consistently shows that once we start, we usually keep going.
It's Newton's first law, right? An object in motion stays in motion. The friction you experience in the first minute is probably 10 times the friction you'll experience in the 10th minute. So yes, you rarely stop. But, and this is the most important part of the rule that people miss, you must be allowed to stop.
Wait, really? You have to give yourself the out.
Absolutely. If you tell yourself just 2 minutes, but in the back of your mind you know you must do an hour, your brain will smell the trap and the resistance will stay high. You have to genuinely give yourself permission to quit after 120 seconds.
So I put on my running shoes, I step outside, and I lock the door. And if I truly hate it, I can just go back inside.
Yes, go back inside. And you didn't fail. You succeeded in the habit of starting. And what you'll find is that 99 times out of 100, once you're standing outside in your running gear, you'll say to yourself, well, I'm already here. Might as well run around the block.
It's wild how much of this is just managing our own internal negotiation, isn't it?
It's all negotiation.
Yeah.
All of it.
This connects perfectly to the chunking, or as Copilot and DeepSeek called it, the salami slice method.
The salami slice.
I do love a good food metaphor. It makes productivity more palatable.
It does, and it's so intuitive. If you try to stuff a whole salami in your mouth, you choke. It's overwhelming. But if you slice it thin, it's a manageable, even enjoyable snack.
So how does that apply to work?
We tend to set these big, hairy, audacious goals, BHAGs. I want to get fit, or I want to become a painter. That is a terrible goal for your daily motivation. It's too vague and way too big. It just creates anxiety.
So how do we slice that salami?
You focus on the micro step,
Yeah.
the absurdly small action. It's not write chapter 1, it's open laptop. The next slice is write a single paragraph. The goal after that is write 200 words.
Not even clean the garage, but maybe pick up that one box that's been sitting there for 6 months.
Precisely. We vastly underestimate how paralyzing a big goal is. It triggers analysis paralysis. When the goal is huge, the path forward is unclear. When the path is unclear, anxiety spikes. And when anxiety spikes, procrastination kicks in as a soothing mechanism. I'll just watch one YouTube video to calm down.
And 3 hours later.
3 hours later, you're deep in a rabbit hole of videos about how to build a log cabin by hand.
I feel personally attacked.
Yeah.
So shrinking the goal is actually an anxiety reduction technique.
It's 100% an anxiety reduction technique.
Let's talk about implementation intentions. This sounded like really dry corporate speak when I first read it in Claude's notes. But the more I looked into it, the more it seemed like an actual superpower.
It is the closest thing we have to literally programming the human brain. It's a script for future behavior.
Okay, so what's the code? What's the syntax?
The syntax is incredibly simple. If, when X, then Y.
Give me a concrete example.
Okay. Most people set vague goals like, I'm going to work out more. That is a wish. It's a nice idea. An implementation intention is a specific plan. When my alarm goes off at 7 a.m., I will immediately put on my running shoes that I placed by the bed.
Or, if I pour my afternoon cup of coffee, then I will immediately open my notebook and write one idea.
Yes, exactly. It's that specific.
Why does this work so much better than just having work out on a to-do list?
Because it removes the silent killer of productivity. Decision fatigue.
Yes. The reason I eat cereal for dinner 3 nights a week.
We all have a limited budget of good decisions every day. Maybe it's 50, maybe it's 100. Every single time you ask yourself, should I work out now or maybe after dinner? Oh, it looks like it might rain. Maybe tomorrow morning.
Okay, you are burning 1 unit of that precious decision energy.
And by 5:00 p.m., you're mentally bankrupt.
You're bankrupt. And when you're bankrupt, you always choose the path of least resistance, which is Netflix and pizza, not the gym.
So implementation intentions outsource the decision to the environment. Precisely. You aren't deciding if you're going to work out. The clock decides. The event of pouring coffee decides. When X happens, Y happens. There's no debate. You become a robot for that one split second, and that's all you need to get started.
You're automating your own behavior. You're preserving your willpower for the actual hard work rather than wasting it on the scheduling of the work.
That's it. You save your energy for the task itself.
Speaking of willpower, that brings us perfectly to Section 3, environmental design. Because Gemini and Copilot were very, very clear on this point. Willpower is a battery, and it is a lousy, unreliable battery.
It's an unreliable battery that drains incredibly fast. There's a concept in psychology called ego depletion. Now, there's some debate in the academic world about the nuances, but practically speaking, we all know it's true. It is infinitely harder to say no to a cookie at 9 p.m. than it is at 9 a.m.
So if we can't rely on willpower, what do we rely on?
We rely on smart design. We have to shape our environment so that willpower becomes, for the most part, unnecessary. The key concept here is managing friction.
Friction coefficients. We're back in high school physics class again.
We're always in physics class. The rule is incredibly simple. Increase friction for bad habits and decrease friction for good habits.
Okay, let's do the bad habits first. I, like many people, spend way too much time doom scrolling on my phone. How do I add friction to that?
Okay, right now, how far is your phone from your hand?
It's literally in my hand.
Zero friction. The impulse to look equals the action of looking. There is no gap. So you need to insert a gap. Put the phone in a drawer. Better yet, put it in another room.
But I need it. I need it for work, for emergency.
Do you? Or do you need it for anxiety management? Let's be honest. If you put the phone in the kitchen while you work in your office and you feel that twitchy urge to check Instagram, you now have to physically stand up, walk down the hall, and retrieve it. That takes maybe 15 seconds.
And in those 15 seconds,
Yeah.
what happens?
In those 15 seconds, your prefrontal cortex, your logical adult brain, has time to catch up with your impulsive dopamine system. It has time to ask the question, wait, why am I walking to the kitchen? Oh, right, I'm just bored. I don't actually need to check Instagram. You're giving your higher brain a fighting chance.
You're interrupting the circuit.
You're adding a buffer. And there are digital versions of this too. Use site blockers. Delete the social media apps from your phone so you have to log in via the clunky browser every single time.
Oh, that's painful. Using the browser version of Instagram is the ultimate friction. It's so annoying to use.
Exactly. Make the unwanted experience slightly annoying and your brain will stop craving it so much.
Okay, now let's flip it. Decreasing friction for good habits. The classic one everyone knows is putting your gym clothes next to the bed.
It's classic because it works. If you wake up and have to find your socks, then find your shirt, then find your headphones, you have given yourself 3 opportunities to quit before you've even started.
But if the whole kit is laid out,
Or better yet, if you sleep in your gym shorts, which sounds a little gross but is highly effective, you remove all those decision points. You just have to put on shoes and go.
Claude's analysis also mentioned visual cues here. Things like putting the guitar in the middle of the living room, not hidden away in its case in the closet.
Out of sight, out of mind is a biological reality. Your brain prioritizes what it can see. If you want to practice guitar, put it on a stand where you literally have to walk around it. If you want to drink more water, have a full bottle on your desk at all times. You want the desired behavior to be the path of least resistance.
There's a quote from the expert notes that I wrote down. Motivation is often a design problem, not a willpower problem. That really takes the guilt out of it, doesn't it?
It should. If a plant isn't growing, you don't yell at the plant and call it lazy. You check the soil, the light, the water, you check its environment. We need to treat ourselves like houseplants.
A very complex, anxious houseplant with a smartphone.
Basically, yes.
Let's touch on one more environmental hack. Habit stacking. This is a big one from James Clear's work, but Gemini and Copilot flagged it as essential because it's all about hijacking existing neural pathways.
Right. Think of your brain as a dense forest full of neural connections. Some paths are like faint animal trails, but some are 8-lane superhighways. They're fast, reinforced, and automatic. Things like brushing your teeth, making coffee, checking the mail.
The stuff we do without thinking.
Exactly. Habit stacking is the art of taking a new, weak habit, a little animal trail, and hitching a ride on one of those superhighways.
Okay, give us the formula again for that.
The formula is, after I current habit, I will new habit.
So, after I pour my morning coffee, I will meditate for 1 minute. Or, after I brush my teeth, I will do 5 push-ups.
Yes. The coffee pouring is the trigger. You don't have to remember to meditate. The coffee reminds you. And biologically, you are literally using the synaptic strength of the old established habit to initiate the new one. It's like synaptic piggybacking.
I love that visual. A little habit piggybacking its way to becoming automatic.
It's the most efficient way to build a new routine.
Okay, so we've got the mind right, we've got the start mechanisms, we've hacked our house. But at the end of the day, we are biological machines. And sometimes the machine just doesn't have the juice. This brings us to section 4, the biology of drive.
This is the layer that I think most people ignore. They try to mindset their way out of a metabolic crash, and it just never works.
And the star of the show here, mentioned by Perplexity, ChatGPT, basically everyone, is the molecule dopamine.
The celebrity molecule. The one everyone talks about, but few people really understand.
I think we misunderstand it, right? We think dopamine is pleasure.
hmm
I eat the chocolate, I get a hit of dopamine, I feel good.
That's the common misconception. Dopamine is not the molecule of liking something. It is the molecule of wanting something. It's about craving and pursuit. It is the fuel that makes you get up off the couch to go get the thing, not the feeling you get when you finally have it.
So it's the engine of motivation, not the destination.
Correct. And the fundamental problem we have in the 21st century is that our engines are constantly flooded. We are living in a dopamine-saturated world.
Cheap dopamine.
Cheap, unearned, high-potency dopamine. Social media, video games, hyper-palatable processed foods, porn, gambling. These things trigger massive dopamine releases with zero effort.
So what does that do to our motivation for things that are actually hard?
It completely destroys it. Because the brain works on contrast. It adjusts to a baseline level of stimulation. If you wake up and the first thing you do is scroll TikTok for 30 minutes, you are blasting your brain with incredibly high-intensity reward signals.
You're starting your day at a level 10 of stimulation.
You're starting at a 10. Then you close the app and you turn to your spreadsheet for work. That spreadsheet offers a potential dopamine reward of maybe a 2. And it's delayed by several hours. Your brain compares the two and says, why on earth would I work for a 2 when I can get a 10 for free right now?
It's just simple brain economics. It's a rational choice.
It is. This is why so many of the sources, especially Perplexity, suggested a dopamine detox, or, more gently, a quiet morning.
Boring yourself into a state of success.
Essentially, yes. If you eliminate the high stimulation inputs in the first hour of your day, no phone, no TV, no sugar, you dramatically lower your baseline. Suddenly, writing that email isn't competing with a viral video of a cat playing a piano. It's competing with staring at the wall.
And compared to the wall, the email is actually kind of stimulating.
Exactly. You want to make the productive work the most interesting option available to your brain.
Now, aside from dopamine, we have to talk about energy rhythms. I struggle with this so much. I hit a brick wall at 2:30 p.m. every single day. And I usually try to just push through it with more caffeine and a healthy dose of self-loathing.
Which is pretty much the worst possible strategy. You are fighting your own biology. You're fighting your ultradian rhythms.
Okay, break that down for me. What is that?
So most people have heard of circadian rhythms. That's our 24-hour sleep-wake cycle. But we also have these shorter cycles that happen throughout the day called ultradian rhythms, specifically something called the basic rest activity cycle, or BRC.
How long is that cycle?
It's about 90 to 120 minutes. Your brain can maintain high-frequency beta wave focus for about 90 minutes. After that, it naturally needs to dip into a lower frequency state. It needs to clear out metabolic waste products, specifically a chemical called adenosine. That's what makes you feel groggy and lose focus.
That's the 2.30 slump. It's adenosine buildup.
That's the slump. And what do? You drink coffee, which blocks adenosine receptors, and you yell at yourself to focus. But your brain is literally physically incapable of high output focus in that moment. It's like revving a car engine while it's in the shop for an oil change. You're just doing damage.
So the advice from Kimi and ChatGPT was to work in blocks, to ride the wave instead of fighting it.
Yes. Work in focus blocks of about 90 minutes, and then, and this is the absolutely critical part, take a real break for 15 or 20 minutes.
Define real. Because for me, a break is switching tabs to read the news.
That is not a break. Checking your email is not a break. Those are still cognitive tasks that use the same brain circuits. A real break is non-cognitive. Close your eyes, walk outside and look at the horizon. Do some light stretching. Just breathe. You need to let the brain idle so it can flush out all that metabolic waste.
So strategic laziness is actually essential for high performance.
It is not just essential, it is a prerequisite. You cannot be on 100% of the time. If you try, you won't be a hero. You'll just produce garbage work and burnout.
Okay, section 5. Sustaining the momentum. We've optimized our biology. Now, how do we keep this train moving for weeks, months, or even years?
We need to make the invisible visible. The progress needs to be tangible.
This is where Claude and ChatGPT really emphasize visual tracking, the famous Seinfeld strategy.
The don't break the chain method. It's so simple and so powerful. Get a big wall calendar. Every single day you do the desired habit, you get to draw a big, satisfying red X over that day.
Why does this work so well? Is it just the gamification aspect of it?
That's part of it, but it also leverages a powerful psychological bias called loss aversion. We are more motivated to avoid a loss than to achieve a gain. Once you have a chain of 10 or 15 days, you have created something of value. You have an asset, and you start to protect it. You don't want to lose the streak.
It makes the consistency itself the reward.
Yes, and it gives you immediate feedback. Most real-world goals, like getting a promotion or losing 20 pounds, have a huge lag time. You do the work today, but you don't see the real result for months. That is a motivation killer. The red X is an immediate result. It says, I did the thing, I got the X.
What gets measured gets momentum.
Exactly.
Let's talk about rewards. Copilot and Grok made a really important distinction here. Reward the effort, not just the result.
This is so subtle, but it's huge.
Mhm.
If you only celebrate when you finish the entire project, you are training your brain that the process is just a miserable cost you have to pay to get to the prize.
The process is the misery, the result is the good part.
Right, which naturally makes you hate the process and procrastinate on it. But if you reward the effort, I sat down and did 1 hour of focused work, so now I get to listen to my favorite podcast for 15 minutes. You start to associate the dopamine hit with the work itself.
You're basically Pavloving yourself into enjoying the grind.
You are conditioning yourself to enjoy the hard part, not just tolerate it.
Yeah, there's a visualization technique that came up that goes two ways. There's a positive spin and a negative one.
The carrot and the stick of the mind.
The positive visualization is the one we all know. Imagine your future self. See yourself fit, rich, and happy.
And that does work for some people. It creates an emotional connection to a future version of you, so you start to treat that future self like a friend you want to help out. You're doing them a favor by working hard today.
But then Gemini brought in the Stoic approach. Negative visualization. And honestly, this is the one that gets me moving every time.
The premortem. Imagining failure in advance.
Walk us through it. How does it work?
Instead of vividly imagining success, you vividly imagine stagnation. You fast forward 5 years, you didn't write the book, you didn't get in shape, you are in exactly the same place you are now, but you're older, you're slower, and you are filled with the bitter taste of regret. You really try to visualize the texture of that regret.
Oof, that is dark. That sounds incredibly unpleasant.
It's dark, but it is high-octane fuel. Humans are far more motivated by the fear of loss than the hope of gain. If you can vividly see the mediocrity and disappointment that awaits you if you continue to do nothing, you'll run away from that future as fast as you can.
So you're using fear constructively. It's not, I'm scared to start, it's I'm terrified to stay.
Exactly. You're achieving clarity through contrast.
Okay, final section. This is a big one. Section 6. When the fire dies. Because it will. We are all going to screw up. You're going to have a week where we do nothing but eat nachos and watch reality TV. How do we recover?
The first and most important rule, which came from ChatGPT, is the don't miss twice rule.
I live by this rule. It's been a lifesaver for me.
It's so forgiving, but so effective. Missing one day is an accident. Life happens. You get sick, your kid gets sick, you have a deadline. That's just a data point. It is not a failure of character. But missing twice, that is the start of a new habit.
The habit of not doing it.
Right. So the goal isn't never miss a day. That's impossible and sets you up for failure. The goal is never miss twice in a row. If you fall off the wagon on Tuesday, your only job in the entire world is to get back on in some small way on Wednesday. Even if it's a sloppy 2-minute workout, you have to stop the bleeding.
And this leads directly to what is probably the hardest part of all of this for me personally. Self-compassion. Claude and DeepSeek both warned about the danger of the shame spiral.
This is where most people get stuck and give up entirely. They miss a day, and then their inner critic comes out with a megaphone. You're lazy, you're undisciplined, you always quit. See, I told you you couldn't do it.
Why even bother trying again? You're just going to fail again anyway.
And here is the deeply counterintuitive finding from the research. Shame kills motivation. It does not fuel it.
But wait, that feels wrong. Doesn't shame make us work harder? That feeling of, I feel so bad about this, I have to fix it.
No, that's what we think, but it's not what happens in the brain. Shame creates stress. Stress raises cortisol levels. High cortisol inhibits the prefrontal cortex, the logical, planning, discipline part of your brain. So by beating yourself up, you are physiologically disabling the very tool you need to get back on track.
So being a jerk to yourself is actually a scientifically backed strategy for staying lazy.
It's a perfect self-fulfilling prophecy. You feel bad about not working, so you berate yourself, which makes you feel worse and less capable, so you avoid the work that makes you feel bad. And the spiral continues downwards.
So what's the alternative? Are we supposed to be soft on ourselves? It's okay, sweetie. You tried your best.
No, it's not about being soft. It's about being pragmatic. You need to talk to yourself like a good coach, not a tyrant. A tyrant screams at you for failing. A coach says, okay, we missed yesterday. Let's look at the data. Why? Oh, you stayed up too late watching Netflix and were too tired. Understood. Tonight we go to bed at 10. Now let's get back out there.
Analyze the slip, don't moralize it.
Exactly. Fix the system that led to the failure. Don't attack the person who is running the system.
And if we are really, really stuck, if we've dug a deep hole and missed a whole week, Gemini suggests the 5 whys technique.
This is for when the surface level motivation is completely gone. You have to dig down to the bedrock. You ask, why do I want to do this 5 times in a row?
Can you walk me through a personal example?
Okay. Let's say I want to learn Spanish. Why? So I can speak it when I travel to Spain. Why is that important to you? Because I feel awkward and disrespectful being a tourist who only speaks English. Why does that matter? Because I want to connect with people authentically on their own terms. Why is that important? Because I deeply value human connection and showing respect for other cultures. Why? Because at my core, I believe that's how we build a better world.
See, I believe that's how we build a better world is a lot stronger and more resilient than I should probably learn Spanish.
It's a completely different fuel source. When you hit that core value, you tap into something that can't be derailed by a bad mood or a rainy day. You're not doing it for the task anymore. You're doing it for your soul.
Wow. We have covered a lot of ground here. We've gone from campfires to amygdalas to ultradian rhythms to dopamine baselines.
It really is a full integrated system: mindset, tactics, environment, and biology.
If we have to wrap this all up with one final provocative thought, one thing for the listener to carry with them out of this deep dive, what is it?
It goes back to that reframe of discipline we talked about at the very beginning. The ultimate reframe from ChatGPT was this: discipline is self-respect.
So a little more on that. That's powerful.
We tend to think of discipline as saying no to ourselves. No to the cookie, no to the couch, no to sleeping in. But really, it's about saying yes. It's saying yes to the promises you've made to your future self. Every time you keep a promise to yourself, even a tiny one, like doing the dishes when you said you would, you are building a reputation with yourself. You are proving, with evidence, that you are someone who can be trusted.
And that trust in yourself is the foundation of confidence.
That trust is everything. If you know deep down that you can trust yourself to do what you say you will do, you become unstoppable. The promises you keep to yourself are the ultimate form of self-care.
So here is the challenge for you listening, the deep dive challenge. Don't wait for the mood. Don't wait for the lightning strike. The mood isn't coming. Pick one thing, one small, meaningful thing. Apply the 2-minute rule.
Lower the barrier to entry until it's a joke.
Step out into the cold. Gather one piece of wood. Strike one match.
Build your fire.
Thanks for diving in with us. We'll see you next time.